We're reflecting this morning on the youth mission trip that we took this summer. Our main job is to meet people where they are and love them and chat with them and hang out with them. And in doing so, our hearts will change and our outlook will change and we will love better. Written by Rose. Where did I see God? In Newark, New Jersey? I saw God in these people, the youth of Plymouth, sharing with us this morning. Walking in the sultry heat in new neighborhoods in the pulsing downtown of Newark with Reverend Randy as our guide. Sitting across the tables in North Reformed Church, a church known as the Red Door in the Newark neighborhood. Listening to stories and ventured words about the day's weather. Sitting quietly at first, out of respect or shyness, then engaging intently, making friends, welcoming, and feeling welcomed into conversation. I saw God in these Plymouth youth at Vacation Bible School at St. Matthew's United Methodist Church, leading songs, playing games, teaching crafts and experiments, shepherding, hugging, and holding the kids in the swirl. These Plymouth people supported each other, stuck up for each other, shared when a need was expressed, bumping sleeping bags in the night. They loaded up the van, shopped for food and supplies, cooked, washed dishes, cleaned off the tables, making friends with people from Standale Reformed Church in Michigan. Putting junk food and cell phones aside for a whole week, eating chicken and rice grumbling, and chicken and rice and not grumbling because they got it. Laughing at the everyday menu, yet knowing it's nothing to laugh at. These youth struggled with the inequities they witnessed, asking why and why not. Listening, 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 listening. Taking a deep breath and praying out loud for the first time in front of the whole group. We sent many of Plymouth churches, the church of another Red Door, Plymouth Church's best teenagers to Newark, and they made us proud. They walked with God. I saw God in them.
No matter what object, place, thing, or idea, you can almost always see a part of God. But one place on the trip where I feel I especially saw God is when I was playing cards with someone who came into the church for a meal, and also with some of the other youth group members that came from Michigan. And looking back, I feel like I learned really 3 important lessons from this. Firstly, the importance of games, and how even though, in the end, their ends are always trivial, they always have that special power to bring us together, no matter the outcome. Secondly, the fact that in a lot of ways, life is a lot like blackjack. You get a hand that you start out with, and you have to choose whether or not to get an extra card, praying that either way, everything will work out in the end. Lastly, I learned never try to get a hit when you're already at 17. It never works.
Okay, I think the thing that stood out to me the most while we were there was how happy everyone was, and like the people that came to the soup kitchen, and the amount of joy that was in their hearts that was evident. They didn't have much, but they still had smiles on their faces and kind words to say to all of us. Their happiness didn't depend on material things, but on simple things, like being able to have breakfast and lunch, and being out of the July heat. They were all so kind and never complained, even though they had a reason to. This made me think about my own life and all the things that I take for granted every day. I have so many reasons to be happy, so I should be. I saw God through that happiness and kindness of those people, and it showed me that God is the ticket to happiness and not earthly or material things. Okay, I'm also going to read Mariah Pasinski since she's not here. Okay. I believe the question we were asked to address was, where did you see God in your experience? First of all, when don't you see God? Never. I saw God in the crooked and missing teeth of a man named Mario. I saw God in the faces of the kids who I was finally able to get to dance with me and have fun with. I saw God everywhere because after all, it is not only ours, but it is His mission. At the start of every morning, Reverend Randy would say, "How are we going to love on people today?" It's not always about your ability to work a lot or quick when it comes to service. While that is important sometimes, what's more important is, how are you going to love on those around you? If you can love on just one person, you are on a mission and called to be a missionary in some way, shape, or form. How will you love on people today? North Reformed Church in Newark, New Jersey was a mission trip experience I will never forget.
They say that you have to put yourself in somebody else's shoes to really know them, but I don't believe that. We learned so much about the people in Newark by just talking to them. This was by far my favorite part of the trip. Reverend Randy, the pastor of the church we stayed at, would always ask us where we saw God each day. At first, this was hard to say. With so many things happening in a day, how are we supposed to know? It got easier as the week went on, though. 2 times I saw God was through my friend Maria and a little girl. And my friend Maria was this woman who came on the first day. She was really shy and she wouldn't talk to anybody. But I went to her and her face just lit up, and that just made my day. And we talked pretty much every day in the morning and sometimes at lunch. And, I didn't know her background or what she had been through, but we became really good friends. And it was really nice. And at the end of the week, she gave me sunglasses because it was so incredibly hot there. But she went out of her own way to buy me sunglasses. And I just thought that was really the nicest thing of a woman that I'd known for a week. And it was probably one of the best experiences I had there. And then the other one was when we were at the Vacation Bible School. A lot of the kids were kind of rowdy, but they were all great. And one of the girls, she had, I was doing the crafts, and she stuck her hand in the paint, and she went around and decided that she was going to make a painting out of each person in the room by smacking them on the back. So you can realize my frustration. But so one of the teachers that was there, she had to talk to her about it. And the girl was so sad, she started crying, and she told her to go say sorry to me. So I sat down next to her, and she turned around, and she gave me this big hug, and she was like, "I'm sorry." And I was like, "Oh, it's okay." And I think I saw God through her and through Maria, because they had such compassion for people I just met. And even though we were from different backgrounds, we could still be friends and connect on a level that other people probably couldn't. So in conclusion, the work didn't make this trip worthwhile. The people that loved on me did. Thank you.
This mission trip was a great experience to me. We did a lot of activities there. We went to Vacation Bible School. We went on walks throughout New Jersey, and we also helped out in the kitchen. But one of the activities that was most significant to me was talking with the people that came to the church. We became friends with those people. One person that I remember, his name was Anthony. Anthony was a talented artist. He would sketch you in under 10 minutes, and it would look exactly like you. I could see him being a famous artist. Another that I remember, his name was Ben. He knew everything about cars. Name a car, he knew it. Horsepower, type of engine, all the colors. But one person that I remember most clearly, his name was John. We leafed through the papers every morning talking about sports, football, baseball, basketball, anything. As we became better friends, he used to tell me sort of about his life. One night, he and his wife couldn't sleep because there was some construction going on and outside of the shelter at 3 o'clock in the morning. Some of these people I talked to couldn't go to sleep for fear of their stuff getting stolen. But he even brought in his wedding photos to show me. So all these people could have had great careers. They just had bad luck that led them to where they are now.
Where did I see God? When Sully first used those words to set the theme for this part of the service, my mind flew back to Newark. In that split second, I saw the kaleidoscope of colors of people, buildings, parks, smelled the mustiness of an old building intermingled with cooking grease, heard the cries and laughters that shook the walls, both out loud and in silence, and felt the exceedingly oppressive heat. It took only a second to realize why I had this powerful visceral reaction. Those were just the words Reverend Randy used with the group most days when he started his evening teaching. Where did you see God today? Lots of answers were given at that time. In the smiles of the guests sitting across the table, in the laughter of the Bible school children, and some of the pranks too, in the tears when someone told of their hard life, and in the play with Randy's kids. Some of my personal God sightings, when Freddie, who was in the kitchen, made coffee for the first time, boiling coffee grounds because they had no pot, and presented it with such a huge winning smile. When T, who was John's wife, showed her wedding pictures and talked about being in Syracuse in rehab years ago and wondering about coming back to this community. The kids playing the card games with all the guests and themselves at night. That's another spot where I actually saw a God sighting. And the tiny blades of grass growing in the empty lots. Randy approaching someone on the street who looked like they needed a meal and reminding them of the red door. A farmer's market with music and dancing. You see, the lasting message that I took from this mission trip was that to always, always pose that question to myself and to others. Where did you see God today? Oh, and unless I leave you with the impression that was the whole Philly cheesesteak, and you're all going to have to come in and ask the kids what that means about the whole mission trip. Far from it. The rest of the message, from my perspective, anyway, now that I see all this, how else can I act so that there can be more sighting of God's abundance and mercy and joy in the world? Where will we see God? Where will we act?